welcome everyone to the GenAI Gurus expert talk of today, Building Governed AI Agents with Microsoft Agent Governance Toolkit. And today we have with us Imran Siddique, the Principal Engineering Leader at Microsoft, which is a great pleasure to have him with us. We have more than 100 people registered, and the people are still joining the call. I need to keep admitting once people are in the waiting list, so I hope it doesn't disturb you too much. As an introductory few words about the GenAI Gurus communities. For those who you don't know, this is running now for a couple of years. We have 2,500 registered people in the Meetup community, and it is continuously growing. It's mostly based in Europe due to the time zone, but we don't have strict boundaries. The events are usually after work time in Europe time zone. And as you see, okay, some more people to admit. As you see, we had in the past few very nice talks. The last one was about OpenClaw with 140 live attendees. We had to change to YouTube live stream because Google Meet was not enough. We had also people from Windsor, from the Llama team from Meta. We had people from Stability AI, now the Black Forest Labs. And the community is us. The community is the people who join and contribute, starting with me. I'm Carlos Hernandez, AI Strategy and AI Officer at Bosch. We have also with us Gerd and Rasmi today. Do you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi, I'm happy to be here today as well. As you can see, I'm working in the cloud and AI sector, and with a lot of customers in the regulated area like financial companies or defense or critical infrastructure. And that's why I'm super happy to be here today and listen to Imran, because these customers, they have a lot of requirements into this sector of governance, how to govern agents, how to be auditable as well, comply to the regulations. So I'm happy to have you here, Imran.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Hi everyone, I'm Rashmi. I've been with the GenAI Gurus for over a year now. I'm a data scientist and an aspiring founder with experience with automotive, IT, and retail. I'm currently based in Berlin and working on a GenAI-powered EdTech venture. I'm always excited to be part of the talks and these sessions. So I welcome you all to be a part of this amazing talk.
Thank you, Rasmi. Thank you, Gerd. The community started in June 2023. We grew over the time now with over 2,500 members. I would not spend too much time here. Only I want to give, let me look at my checklist. If you want to propose a talk for the future, there is a form in the website at the bottom. Go there. And also if your company or your whatever startup wants to partner with us, also there is a form there. Feel free also to contact us in LinkedIn. That perfectly works. The call is being recorded already, and as always, I need to admit now some more people joining. As always, the recordings will be posted in the YouTube channel. If you want to place questions, please use the chat, and Imran asked us to interrupt him in between, so if there is any question, we try to place it in context. Before we go to the talk, two interesting things we want to mention. First of all, the plug, same as last time. We have a free open source community, free open source resource, which is the awesome EU AI Act repository. Maybe, Rasmi, you can place the link in the chat. We are collecting everything we think is necessary for fulfilling EU AI Act, including governance frameworks like the Microsoft Agent Governance Toolkit. And your stars are very, very welcome. And also contributions. If you see something missing, we have at the moment 4 pull requests, and this is a running activity. The second, and I think that is even more exciting, if possible, is the topic I'm going to show you now. The GenAI Gurus is becoming a cloud partner network. It's part of the partner network. That means we are going to get access to certain trainings, like you see here, the Anthropic Academy, And also, we will get the chance potentially to get some of us certified with this program, the Cloud Certified Foundation. If you are interested on this, we ask you to get engaged with the community, to become very active. You have many ways to do that, of interacting with what we post in LinkedIn, but also if you have something you want to bring to the community, for example, some kind of training, some talks, whatever, think about what you wish to contribute. There is Google form that, Rashmi, if you could place in the chat. I think you have that, right?
Yes, I'm pasting the links as well.
Perfect, cool. We need to get your contributions and your ideas through this Google form that we just shared in the chat. And there's a few questions. And most important thing is that you think, what do you want to contribute in the GenAI Gurus if you join the core team? And I think that would be the main way to join us. We will. The deadline is end of this week, so there is not much time left. Please put your topics until Sunday this week, and during the next couple of weeks, we will contact those who have sent the form and have contributed and became active to discuss about next steps. Okay, so this would be the introductory part. Now we go what the reason you are all here, which is the talk of today, building governed AI agents with Microsoft Agent Governance Toolkit. Imran, the stage is yours. Very excited.
Awesome, thank you. Let me share my screen. Let me know once you're able to see the screen.
Yes.
All right, just give me a second. I need to make sure I can see you all too. Awesome. Hello, everyone. This is Imran. I'm part of Microsoft for 18 years now. I've been working on Azure for most of my career. Been part of all of the Azure stack, all the way from data to platform services to Azure DevOps and Azure for Industries. I have been looking into the AI world for some time now, and I'm here to talk about something which we have been working on for some time, and it's going to be awesome. I also want to take this time to thank the organizers, Carlos, Shirt, Rashmi, Miguel, and let's get started. So quick poll, how many of you are building or planning to build AI agents? My understanding is all of you at this point of time. That's why you are here. But how many of you have already been using some kind of governance framework? So use the chat to actually just do some kind of polling, and let's see like where we are, where you are, and what stage you are in. Like, are you like really deploying agents in production? And like, if yes, then how your governance story has been so far. So we can learn from each other. All right. So we'll cover a couple of things today. We'll cover the problem, which is why agent governance is super important, why it matters now because of the EU AI Act, how the agent governance toolkit solves it, and also a live demo and Q&A I said in the end. But you can, like Carlos said, you can ask me a question any point of time. So every week, what we have been observing is there is a new agent framework. There is a LangChain, Crew AI, AutoGen, Google ADK, OpenAI Agents SDK, and on and on and on. They're all solving awesome problems, which is how to make agents do stuff. But I think the one question which still gets unanswered in most of the time is who decides what the agent is allowed to do. So today, the answer is usually a system prompt. You do something like, hey, you are a helpful assistant that follows company policies. That's equivalent of like putting a sign on the highway that says, please don't speed, and then everyone speeds up. So what we really need is we need guardrails, speed cameras, and a dashboard, like in a very simple terms, if you think about that. I can take you one more example, like MCP and A2A are awesome. They give agents interoperability. So the agents can talk to other agents or agents can talk to other tools. But I think still we need a interoperability with governance. We cannot just like let agents do what they want to, let agents decide what they want to, let agent talk to whoever they want to. We really need all of it, but we also need them. We also need to make sure we have the right governance in place. So a couple of things. So the risk associated with agents running without governance is not hypothetical, and everyone has been actually looking into this for some time now. If you see the OS Agentic Security Initiative, they identified 10 categories of agentic risk. Super important ones like tool misuse, identity spoofing, supply chain attacks, uncontrolled autonomy. These are like real attack surfaces. And I think when we start thinking about agents versus which are non-deterministic, compared to the systems we have been building so far, which are deterministic systems, the attack surface area is growing and becoming much bigger than we can even think. So during our like very initial journey in the AGT, we benchmarked like prompt-based governance versus policy-based governance. And then what we realized is in prompt-based governance, you are still relying in the non-deterministic system, saying that, hey, you are awesome. Can you just follow all the policies and stuff? Can it really do it? It's all a guesswork. You're not 100% sure. What we found was there were like 27.7% violation rate for the same situation where we were asking the tool with the policies versus with the prompt. With the policies, you're like 100% covered, like because it's very deterministic, and that's the difference between asking someone to follow the rules and making it physically impossible to break them. So in Europe, especially as of August 2026, these aren't just best practices. There are regulatory obligations which we'll go deeper into. So this is a part that's more relevant. If you serve EU customers or deploy in Europe, but even if you don't, these requirements are becoming the de facto global standard for AI governance. I think it's not just Europe. I think everyone is just going to follow. It's just a matter of time. So let's see the timelines. The EU AI Act is world's first comprehensive AI regulation. It was adopted somewhere around 2024 and it's being enforced in phases. My understanding is phase 1 already happened with prohibited practices like social scoring are banned, and I think that completely makes sense. Phase 2 is in effect, which is GPAI moral obligations. We'll talk a bit about especially the phase 3 in this session. The big one is phase 3. August 2, 2026. That's 3 months from today. So high-risk AI system obligations kick in, and a lot of good stuff which is being talked about, which is like risk classification, human oversight, transparency, documentation, a bunch of stuff. And a bunch of important things, but there is an Article 2 which says, if your AI system affects people in the European Union, it applies to you. So regardless of whether your company is headquartered. So I think that's one of the reasons I say that, hey, understanding EU AI Act is very important. Also trying to actually understand the implications of it, whether you are inside, outside, what does it mean? And in general, also as a best practice, like deploying agents in production, what are some of the things which we really have to be thinking about? Any questions so far, or should I keep going?
No questions. No questions.
Awesome. So a couple of things. Act creates 4 risk tiers, more like a traffic system. Like one is like unacceptable, high risk, limited, minimal. Unacceptable, outright ban, social scoring, subliminal manipulation, real-time biometric identification. If your agent does any of these things, cannot be deployed. High risk, this is where most enterprise agents will land. Medical diagnosis, recruitment, credit scoring, bunch of stuff like. And if your agents to make decisions that affects people's lives, we need full compliance, and which is documentation, human oversight, logging, bias testing, and so on. I think then there are limited and minimal. Limited is like chatbots and content generators. main obligation is transparency, but I think, there are limited applications, and then there is a minimal one, which is like spam filters, schema. Our focus is going to be on the second line, which is high risk. This goes into like all of the, like the way we have OWASP's top 10. I think these are like some of the top articles associated with the EU AI Act. These are the articles that matter most for the AI agents. And then I'll just pick like 3 maybe. Let's talk about let's pick 12. So every agent decision must be logged automatically, not we log some things. For example, if your agent is making a decision, it should be logged, and I should have access to those logs. Simple, makes sense. Let's take one more, maybe Article 14, human oversight. You must have the ability to override, interrupt, and shut down the agent. That's a kill switch. And this also is one of the OS top 10 guideline, which is like, if agent is not behaving as per what I wanted it to, I should have a way to kill it. Article, let's take one more, 15 maybe. Accuracy and robustness. You need bias testing, accuracy metrics, and cybersecurity measures, documented, testable. You really have to run all of these things before your agents can start making any decisions. Now the question is, do you build all of this from scratch or do you use something which helps you with that? And that is where the AGT comes in. So the key message from the AGT perspective is governance is a layer, not a rewrite. You don't have to change your agents. You add governance around them. So if you have been building agents, you continue building agents, but you really want your agents to be safe. And then this is where the governance layer can come and help you. So now we are going really deeper into Agent Governance Toolkit. So it's an open source under the MIT license. There are 5 core packages, and it comes with 5 languages. So the good part is, like, if you have been building in any language with TypeScript, Python, Go, Rust, anything, you still can have the entire governance for free. Agent OS kernel is the policy engine, the top one, which you see in the current slide. It's a core under 5 milliseconds for evaluation. So I think this policy engine, what it does is it wraps around your engine and then agent, and then anytime the agent wants to make a call, we'll go through the policies, yes, no, and then accordingly it will be allowed or disallowed to do any call. Then we do have a lot of other areas too in Agent Governance Toolkit, which is as depending on your need, on like what kind of systems you're building, you might use them or you might not use them. They're like independent packages. So let's talk about Agent Mesh. Agent Mesh handles identity, which you would need when you're working on multiple agent scenarios. And it also has a notion of trust scoring, where you can assign an agent identity as well as trust score. And then depending on like the actions being performed the agent, the score can go up and down, and it can go into different rings where more powerful actions will be allowed if the trust score is more. Similarly, we have agent runtime, like I discussed a little bit about it. It talks about privilege rings. So for example, if you're building a system which is not just one agent running in production, you have a bunch of agents running in production, and then they would be doing a lot of stuff. Some agents will have like a small responsibility, while some agents might be very powerful. How do you really govern those systems? How do you make them work? So this is where the agent runtime comes in. It comes with like execution, isolation, and rings. Rings is a very important concept. We don't really want to go deeper into this today, but depending on like, you put different agents in different rings, and each of these rings will have different power. And so that you are controlling them not just by policies, but also with the score and also with the rings. The fourth layer, Agent SRE, gives you super important stuff which matters, like everyone, depending on whether you're deploying one agent or multiple agents, which is like SLOs, error budgets, chaos testings, everything observability, literally everything you think about observability of agents, you get in the Agent SRE. And then finally the compliance, saying that, hey, I want to be compliant to EU AI Act, I want to be compliant with OS Act, or maybe like something more comes in, and this is where the agent compliance layer. I think you just give me 1 second. I think I got into some slides. Yeah, I was in this slide. All right, so let's keep going. Again, this is like an architecture view of where governance lives. So how everything fits together. Your agents sits on top, whatever framework you're using. The governance layer sits in the middle, and then the infrastructure at the bottom. Every action the agent takes passes through the governance layer. Policy engine evaluates it under 5 milliseconds. Identity is verified. Compliance is checked. Audit trail is written. All of these things are important. The agent cannot bypass any of these. It's not a filter on the output. It's an interception layer on the input itself. So action doesn't execute until the governance layer approves it. And this is the same architecture pattern as OS kernel enforcement. The agent runs in user space, governance runs in kernel space. So think of that as like a kind of like example, but I think of it as like you have an agent and then you wrap the agent around the governance layer, and then this entire governance layer is running in the infrastructure. So your agent cannot really do a lot because it's completely controlled. Let me check any questions so far. Anyone can actually come online, ask me questions. We can make it interactive, or we keep going.
No questions.
Okay, let's keep going. So how does EU AI Act and AGT fits in together? And I think that is a question which a lot of people had. So this is like article to article mapping, each which says like, hey, AGT feature and like what is the article asked for and how things work. I'm not going to take all of it. Like we'll just go maybe again like pick few. Say Article 5, which is prohibited practices. We have in AGT something called risk classifier, which automatically flags social scoring, subliminal manipulation, and other band uses. So I think you do have a mapping here. Let's take one more, maybe Article 13, technical documentation. We have we have a feature called it's I think from a EU AI perspective, it's called Annex 4 dossier exporter that auto generates the required documentation from your agent's configuration, policies, and audit logs. So, for example, if you want information in some particular format and stuff, there is a way where you can actually use AGT to go and say that, hey, for my current agents configured with these policies and this configurations, can you generate a log in this format? And it can do it for you. Maybe let's take one more. Maybe Article 14, human oversight. So we do have kill switch feature, which actually, and then a bunch of other things like approval workflows and human in the loop gates. So this will help you observe. Goes into a little bit on the observability, a little bit on the different aspects of governance, which says that, hey, we can help you see what your agents as like agent alone is doing versus agent and like all of them together are doing, and how do you make some decisions like pausing some agents, killing some agents because they were not doing as required. But I also want to make a disclaimer here, like just want to be very transparent that this compliance checklist states most of these is partial also because we document exactly what the gaps are. So there is no toolkit which can just give you like 100% EU AI compliant. You just use this toolkit and then you say, hey, 100% compliant, because there's a devil in the details. But I think this tries to see that, hey, from these aspects, you get all of these things for free, but then you still have to worry about these 3 things or these 4 things. But there's the only toolkit which can actually get you like a lot of coverage already. And for each of the articles, you do have some kind of coverage. That's what I wanted to talk about here. Let's talk about.
There's a question I see now, quite long, but I will read it. Regarding Annex 3 of the EU AI Act, static rule-based governance toolkits like AGT are incredible for blocking explicitly forbidden tool calls or non-malicious inputs at sub-millisecond latency. How should enterprise teams handle proxy discrimination? For example, if an HR agent filters candidates by graduation year to bypass an age discrimination rule or filters by zip code, causing geographic redlining, can deterministically YAML rule engines catch the latent semantic intent, or do we fundamentally need an LLM in the loop or semantic firewall intercepting the payload pre-execution to catch the context?
That's a very good question. So, see, my understanding is you would need a depending on your use case, like the way you're building the agent for, and then the way you're being using agents. In some cases, your deterministic rules should be good enough, and then like the way you can use the policy service from your AGT and then be good with it. But there are cases where you would need both, saying that, hey, maybe the actions being performed by the agent at that moment of time, I'm going to use a deterministic policy service. So just quickly evaluate, because the tool actions cannot wait on a policy service taking a lot of time. And but just log all of this information, because that is one of the requirement. And I'm going to run some kind of it could be a post action analysis on these logs, which tries to say that what really happened. And that could be a very different scenario. I think there are a few blogs I'm writing this week which goes deeper into like what happens beyond AGT. And this is one of the topic which says that once you have all the information, what do you do with that information? And I think some of these things actually are important, saying that, hey, okay, you did everything per the policy, but like if I see maybe each tool execution was right, but if I see holistically, maybe something was wrong, and then those information can come from the logs. Let's keep going.
There is some noise. I would just, I think Gert is coming from your microphone. If you could mute. I have one more question, Imran.
Okay.
Quite simple one, because you started with 4 levels of EU AI Act, depending on the risk level, right? The risk classification. And I know the answer, but I think you didn't mention that. Does the AGT offer any helper to classify what your application, in which level is your application? Like prohibited practice or high risk or what?
That's a good one. So I think currently what do we have in AGT is you can use AGT to see that how compliant are you with the EU AI Act articles. But I think like very high level, the tiers, I don't think we have that support for the tiering today. To figure out, knowing your system, we can figure out which tier you belong to and then which one it will be applied to. So I think maybe that could be a good one to actually explore.
Isn't the EU AI Act risk classifier helping with that?
The EU AI risk classifier should help with that if we can actually really try to understand what you're trying to do. But like, can it like guarantee tell you? But if my agent says I'm going to do A, but it ends up doing B, so we really need to see how big some of these things are, especially in the risk classifier. But I think on the other articles, it is like you can use some of these features and say we are compliant with those articles. So let's keep going. So this is my favorite feature, the deployment gate. 6 lines of Python in your CI/CD pipeline. You create a checker, run it against your agent profile. It fails. The build fails, the agent does not ship. Simple. On the right, you can see the output. A couple of things like Med Assist AI passes because it has a human oversight. Logging bias testing. Higher Bot Pro fails because it's missing all of those. And Citizen Rank AI is blocked outright because social scoring is a prohibited practice under Article 5. So like you see here, I think kind of answers your questions, Carlos, on like what, but I think this is saying that, hey, before even you ship, before you do, like it's a CI/CD itself. You just, in your current agent code, wherever it is, you run the CI/CD, so it can continue checking like how compliant are you, and then it can tell you whether you're really ready to ship something or not. A couple of things here. Some concepts as running as SAST scan or dependency vulnerability check, very similar to like the way we run other checks. You can actually run this in your CI/CD pipeline, but it actually helps you give you a very good like compliance information that, hey, if from your code itself, are you compliant before you go into the runtime compliance. Right. Let's keep going. I think I have very good demos to share too, but I think I'll just cover all of this part and then we go to the demos. Policies, the super important feature. Policies are YAML files, version controlled in Git, reviewable in pull request. Your security team can write policies without touching agent code. And that's the best part. Like you can have policies and code differently. On the left, policy file, 2 rules, 1 blocks destructive tools, and then the other one is catches some PII patterns or like SSN patterns. The key insight is this is deterministic. I think your policy is like very deterministic. The policy engine doesn't use any LLM to decide if something is safe. All the reason why it doesn't use LLM is you want it to be really fast. If your agent is doing 100 operations per minute, you cannot have 30-second for an policy service to go figure out whether each operation is allowed or not. We do support 3 policy formats: YAML, with the one you see here, but we also support OPA and Rego for complex logic, and CEDAR for the attribute-based access control. So you do have support for all the standard ones too. And the same policy files work across every framework. Like whether you're using LangChain or Crew AI or semantic kernel, just works. How hard it is to add governance? It's easy. Actually, it's just like a couple of lines of code. If you see here, before you had your tool calls, you were just executing your call. Now you're changing it to something like this. You say agent OS policies import, and then you get the policy evaluated, and your policy gets evaluated before the tool calls. And then this is like a example where you're like not using any of the framework, but if you're using the frameworks, you can actually just use framework, and we have hooks available for each of these frameworks. So the policy comes for free for you.
So the question related to this topic. So what would you say are like the most common mistakes that teams might make when adding the first governance to an existing agentic system?
For I missed the last part. Existing agents.
Yeah, like what are the common mistakes have you seen while adding governance to an existing system? Like usually
adding governance to existing system. I think the common mistakes I've actually personally seen is governance is a big topic, and it's a new topic too. And I think governance is has a different meaning and understanding for everyone. So people actually, when people are able to run some of the CI/CD pipelines, which says like, hey, is my agent code secure, safe? Do I have any vulnerabilities? And people say it's good. Some people have understanding that, hey, if I run this in a sandbox, and so it's safe. Some people's understanding is like, if I don't give any credential to my agents, I'm safe. So the entire understanding itself is very different. So one of the things which we are doing as part of AGT is we are working very closely with some of these AI foundations like AAIF, OSSF, and trying to see that if AGT can be part of one of these foundations so that it becomes a standard in itself. So I think once it becomes a language, standardized language for governance, things are going to be, I think everyone will start thinking like in the same way, like how we should be thinking about governance. And then there is going to be a standardization also in like the policies, the identity, the trust codes, the rings. And this way, common mistakes will be avoided and everyone will be thinking along the same lines.
Okay, there's one more question from Gerd. How do you handle policy versioning and rollback in production? If a new policy blocks legitimate behavior, what's the recovery path?
So here, I think there are two things. One thing is the policy service always takes the latest policy YAML files, or if you're using the OPA Rego. But if let's say you are coming up with the new policies, I think so the idea with the policy service and policies is these two are independent. So there is a policy service which is running as part of your agent inside the agent framework, whatever framework you're using. And then there is a policy which it really loads and applies here. So if you're changing the policy, you're just going to change the YAML files, which this policy service is attached to, and you're not going to change any of your agent code, any framework, anything. This will continue to work. And since it's a loose dependency, it can load the YAML files of the new versions, and you can always, like, if something is going wrong, you can always update the policy and say, hey, use a new policy, and then you can replace it. And then you can, in your CI/CD system, you can actually make sure their version control, and then so that you have the entire history of how this is going. All right. Maybe this slide, did I already go to the, maybe This one slide I'll cover, and then we'll go to the demo, I promise. So this one is more about AGT. I think we launched this a month back, and then this just 1 month stack. I think things have picked up nicely. People really think this is the right problem we are solving. These are numbers. Maybe numbers keep changing. We got uh, 214K plus monthly PY/PI downloads in a month. I think that's like a huge adoption. We are seeing, so everyone is like really getting their hands dirty, trying it out, trying to actually play with it and figure out like what scenario works, what doesn't. So this is like one of the, just if I just want to pick one number from this slide, I would just pick this one. If I want to pick one more, I will say there's a, this 9500 is actually less. I think we have more than 13,000 tests, which covers all of the code in AGT, which makes sure that the code, which the code itself should be trustworthy. Like for example, if I'm relying on a stack for my governance, how can I trust that stack itself? And that is like super important. And that is where I think some of these numbers are. Let me stop sharing. And let me go to my demo screen. Let me share my demo screen. Let me know once you're able to see it.
Yes, we can see.
So I'll run all demos, and then as they are running, I'll explain. So the first demo, what I'm trying to do is, there are 6 demos altogether. The first demo, I'm just installing AGT, just making sure how easy it is to install AGT in your box and start playing with it. And then it verifies that all the modules you get it, what are the versions and stuff. In second demo, we use AGT to verify my current code, how compliant it is from our OF's top 10 guidelines. In the third demo, we are going to use a real Microsoft Agent framework and AGT, and then create a demo example of a scenario, bank scenario, on like how you can have policies applied to different agents, which are like taking role of different bank employees, and then how you can actually have the governance in place. In the fourth demo, we are going to show 2 agents, and then like I said, we'll just go deeper into agent mesh and agent runtime scenarios, where like how do you build trust, how do you do the handshake, how do you, this is already installed. So I think this this one is just telling me that I need to update my pip version, but don't worry about it, it got installed. This remark which you're seeing is about the pip. In the fifth demo, what we are going to do is we are going to show that how this governance AGT, you don't really have to change your existing code anywhere. Like if you're building on any of the existing agent framework, you can actually just use AGT with all of them. And in the last, we are going to see the EU AI Act compliance checker. So let's see. So this is the one which actually really goes and install pip, install Python, and install a bunch of stuff. I think that's for the reason demo 1 takes a little bit of time, but the future, like other demos, are quick. So let's just wait for it to complete. In the meanwhile, if there is any question, I can take.
Yeah, I have a question with respect to the contributors. So on the last slide, we have seen 76 contributors. Is it Microsoft, or do you have contributors from other organizations, maybe enterprises as well?
So we do have contributors from all across the world. And the reason for this is the whole reason we launched AGT, Agent Governance Toolkit, was like to be completely open source and be part of one of the standards organization. And for that to happen, we came up with the initial core version of what AGT is all about, all the modules and stuff I talked about. And then we said, hey, contributions are welcome on how you would be using AGT in different contexts and scenarios. So most of the contribution we have seen is like people have been trying it out and giving examples, giving documentations, giving tutorials, or building their extensions. So there is a bunch of extensions available in AGT repo where they have come up with their own extensions. Like, hey, if you want to run AGT in a sandbox, we do have a sandbox and you can run it this way. So I think these contributions are mostly on that. The core package still completely still maintained 100% by Microsoft. And yes, Carlos is one of the contributors, and we have a lot of good contributors. Thanks, Carlos. Awesome. So these demos are running. I'll show you the first demo with just Rain. I install Agent Governance Toolkit. Don't worry about this one. This is just telling me to update my pip. I run the AGT doctor, and it tells me, hey, you got all the packages installed, and these are all the versions of these packages. And just tell me how things are. Then I say this one is just checking the versions and stuff. In the second demo, I run this AGT verify on my code.
Maybe before you go deep into the second demo, there is one more question from Pablo. In all industries, there are standards that, based on the risk analysis of the hardware software components involved, there is a certain expected effort and techniques to apply in the design, documentation, development, testing, and market monitoring. Normally, once in the market, those hardware or software components do not change often. In the case of AI agents, it seems that it will not be easy, considering that the outputs will change over time due to the changing model, sources, prompts, tools, everything, non-deterministic aspects of the LLMs. So what is your impression about this?
This is a very good question. Everyone is asking about this question, Pablo. So the thing is, and this is how people are saying that, hey, we are going into the era from deterministic world to the non-deterministic world, where things, like you said, everything was very determined. Once I release a particular CPU model, a particular hardware, and I think, I can guarantee this is, even 10 years later, this is what you can expect from it. But like models, even for the same model, literally the same model, you ask a question in the morning and you ask 10 more questions, and you ask the same question which you ask in the morning, in the evening, and then it is going to give you absolute different answer. So now the question is, in this non-deterministic world, how do we guarantee stuff? And this was one of the reasons we wanted to actually really look into saying that, hey, do we really have to have everything non-deterministic? Because the way the world was moving for the last couple of years, right? People were building everything non-deterministic. Like, for example, like if we are talking about policy service, people are building even policy service based on LLM. If we are talking about EU AI Act, people are building even EU AI Act compliance based on LLMs. But I think the whole question was like, really, do we really have to? I think this in AGT, what we are trying to do is we are trying to see that if for this non-deterministic system, which is LLM, and maybe the agents because they use the LLM, can we really still build a deterministic system around it, which can explicitly say that independent of like what happens in this small box, the outer box is absolutely going to control and guarantee you. And that is the whole idea. That's how I actually see it. But there is a lot of work still needs to be done. We are not done yet. And I would say, I think, this is like the journey we are in. Carlos, do we go to the demo 2 or do we?
I would suggest to go through the demo. There is at least one more question, but we can address it later.
Okay, so in demo 2, we have another very simple command line. So it's AGT verify. It's a compliance one. It can actually look around for all the OS ASI 2026 compliance checks, which are a lot of them, good ones, and say how good you are. And then you can actually integrate with your CI/CD pipeline, and it can also give you a badge in your repository saying that, hey, this code is compliant with the OS guidelines. Demo number 3. Okay, here. So here, what I'm trying to do is I'm using Microsoft Agent Framework and AGT to actually create a demo scenario for the contours of bank command loan processing, and I have policies, and I'm running these policies against different agents. I have 2 agents, a couple of agents, and then I'm trying to see what questions are allowed, like what actions are allowed. So there is an analyst agent which is trying to do a web search, and this is a normal operation, no problem. Similarly, read file. But then analyst tries to delete a file. I'm like, no, it's not allowed. Similarly, there is another agent which just comes in out of nowhere and tries to do something, and then our policies are very deterministic. They're not going to allow them. So this is like a very simple, like showing you different agents applying policies and like really asking these agents to indeed do those kind of operations, but then your policy service is going to stop them from doing it. Demo number 3 is complete. I'm actually on the demo number 4. I'm running this demo number 4. While this runs, I think maybe we can take one more question. Or maybe
Yeah.
it already ran. Let me finish this
Okay.
demo. Before we go to demo 5, we'll talk about it. So this one is interesting. This goes really deeper into using some of the very complex features of AGT, which definitely no one should be reinventing. I think they should be just using those features. That's like, how do you assign identities to your agents, assign capabilities to your agents, and do the trust handshake between the agents so that they can actually just work among themselves. So again, the bank example, we have two agents. There is a loan officer and there is a credit checker. Loan officer has ID and it has capability which can read the data, write the data, approve loans. Similarly, we have credit checker ID, and then it can read the data, check the credit. First of all, they meet with each other and then they do a handshake using there is a cryptographic challenge a support which we do, so the agents can work with each other and they can verify that you are indeed what you say, like from your identity, and then I can actually also verify what capabilities you bring to the table, and then you get some kind of trust scores. Then you start like talking to each other and getting your stuff done. So, for example, if credit checker was granted only a read data permission by loan officer, so loan officer said, when I am going to talk to you, I want you to only read the data, don't do anything else. So, if the credit checker doesn't read the data, it will be allowed. But anything else, any other operation will not be allowed with credit checker. And this is beyond policy. We are talking about like agent to agent communication. And then there is also things like delegations, where you can actually have delegation where loan officer can bring some other agent and give exactly some permission. And if that agent doesn't do what it is expected to do, then I think it will be blocked. And then obviously this is where the kill switch, one of the top feature from EU AI Act and OS Top 10X comes in, which is that, hey, if the agents are not behaving what you expect them to do it, let us know, and then we can actually have a way to actually kill it. Kill it here meaning like, hey, you're just going to pause the agent until they get back to what you expect them to do. I'll run the demo 5 and then we'll take the question. What was the question, Carlos?
Yes, the question is from Damian, and he says on multi-turn social engineering, LLMs are naturally eager to please. If an attacker spends 20 turns or more building trust to slowly manipulate an agent into ignoring its safety instructions, how does a static rules engine detect that coercion? Can pattern matching catch this psychological manipulation, or does that require a semantic evaluator at the boundary?
Yeah, I think this is where I think you would. I think goes back to the question I think someone asked in the start of the talk too. Like I said, you need a deterministic policy service to like really make calls for each of these operations so that they can actually keep going and be fast. You're not slowing down the entire system. But then you also need a non-deterministic system to actually look at the logs and keep making decisions that, hey, out of all the last 100 operations performed by this agent, which got approved, do you see any problem? And this is where I think it can run in the async and then can actually be a feedback loop. Like, see, we have features like kill switch and stuff. They can connect with that and then actually just make the right decision. So you're not like slowing down the system, but you're also not letting the system fail. So I think you have mix of both. So I ran the demo number 5. I think demo number 5 is more about how you can use AGT with any of the frameworks which you might be using, the LangChain or OpenAI Agents SDK or any of them. It works with everything. And then there is a demo number 6, which is quick, which runs. Where did it start? Let me just go here. Okay. So this one actually is, I think, like the way we discussed, it can help you figure out how aligned are you with EU AI Act and what problems you have. So we have a couple of demos. Risk classification, which is Article 6, tries to find out like what is your risk level, and it tries to tell you how does it work, like what it found. There is a transparency check. This is all running against your code and trying to find out transparency check, risk classification, full compliance report, which can tell you what it found. For like, for example, there is and this is all of this code is already available in Agent Toolkit, which Rashmi can share the link to. In the examples, you will see a lot of EU Act demos. This is running against those. So it says that, hey, I found 3 critical issues for the current code, which is higher pro bot. One thing is AI system disclosure to users, transparency for high risk AI, and human oversight. I think you're not doing these 3. So, and then there are other things which you're not aligned to, and that's one of the reasons you're not compliant. So it can actually, you can run your toolkit, and then it also gives you recommendations on like how you can actually make it like aligned with the EU Act. Similarly, we have deployment gate, which can actually block your deployments if it is not aligned with the EU Act, and then so much more. Personally, so much more. I'll go back to my slides and take questions.
Yeah, there's one question from Pablo. It says, what could happen in terms of responsibility if the agent returns an unsafe, not acceptable according to the UAI Act, and the companies should because of that? Implementing these technical measures would help, but not protect us if anyway the agent produced the wrong output. What companies are doing and expecting in that regard?
Yeah, I think 2 things here. So how can you guarantee that? Can you just guarantee that you're 100% compliant? I think compliance is a place where you can actually say that, hey, we are trying to build a system which can align to all the guidelines. But then there is something called audit, which says that, hey, I want to really see what happened. And then in AGT, we do have good audit support, which says like all of the agent actions can actually be taken, audited in a tamper-proof way, so that you can actually do a post analysis of trying to see that what really happened. And that is where I think the compliance plus happens, where it's like, hey, first of all, is your system compliant per the guidelines? Yes. Now give me the logs to see really how your system is doing, and from that they can actually find out what is really working out, what is not. And that's one aspect. So I think most of the companies are actually going in that direction, saying that, hey, first we want to really get our agents to be as compliant as possible, and second, we also want to have the audit logs, so that when the compliance industries want to come and see that how we are doing, we have the logs, and we can also use it for our own feedback loop to improve our system. So these are some of the measures people are like taking, but I think if there are better ways to do things, and I think AGT is open source, always welcome to contribute. We did the demo. We already explained all of these things, and that's it for today. I think we have Rashmi has shared all the links. You should just go get your hands dirty, try AGT Verify, try some of those CI/CD pipelines, and see what is working, what is not working, and how we can work together to make things better.
Maybe one very last question, Imran, before we close. You already touched a little bit with the question from Gad, but coming back to the point that AGT in the end is coming from Microsoft, it is open source, that's clear, and it is MIT licensed and framework agnostic, but of course the governance can become deeply embedded. So what long-term lock-in should teams watch for, and how does the AGT compare with other alternatives in terms of custom policy gateways and so on?
Yeah, so I think one of the things which we are trying to do is the idea with the AGT is like open source, open platform, open frameworks. Should work with all the cloud providers, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, should work with all the frameworks coming from OpenAI, Anthropic, and outside. Should be working with all the standardization, like if Oracle is coming up with the agent spec, it should align with that. So what we are trying to do with AGT is we're trying to say that, hey, you are like not competing with anyone. There is no competition. I think you should be like the one which we can build the ecosystem around it, so that once people take dependency on it for compliance, I think they don't really have to switch back because something better comes in, because AGT should be the one which is integrated with all of these things. That's the whole idea with it. And that's what I would actually just close the today's talk is like, I think if there is something missing where AGT is not complementing but competing, I think we should just fix that part.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Imran. This was a really great talk. And again, we will post the recording probably end of today or tomorrow, in case someone wants to watch it again. It was a great pleasure to have you with us, Imran, and we stay in touch. Please go to the repo and make your contributions, use AGT, and we keep in touch.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Have a good day.